What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Monday, February 25th, 2019. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30 winner, a.k.a. the second best baby blues in San Francisco, a.k.a. the verified one, at Tim Geddes.
Let Tim host.
How you doing, Tim?
Fantastic, Greg. Fantastic.
Did you do anything this weekend?
I did a little something.
Did you play any games? What are you getting
no
into?
Games, no games. The game of love.
The
Greg.
game of love,
The game
Tim.
of love.
What
and
happened?
I feel like I won. I proposed to Gia. She said yes.
Yay!
For people wondering. Of course, there's a video. You can watch it on youtube.com/kindafunny right now.
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff. It went very well. You
Yeah.
were all part of it. It was very fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm very, very thrilled. It's been one of the best weekends of my life, for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of joy, a lot of fun. I'm
Yeah.
still on a high.
Oh
It's
yeah,
cool.
and today it's going to continue.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the one thing. Try to
Take it in.
because like all the tweets you're getting, all the texts you're
turn my
getting.
phone upside down. That's gonna
Yeah,
be
exactly.
distracting.
I remember when Jen and I got married, and
Yeah.
we didn't do an engagement thing. When we just shadow dropped our
Yeah.
wedding on everybody, that was like such a crazy experience.
It's
of
awesome.
People coming out of the woodwork to wish you well. And
It was a crazy story. You could watch the video, and then later today, if you are a Patreon supporter on patreon.com/kindafunny, we're gonna do the Kinda Funny podcast, and
Yeah.
I'm sure we're gonna go into
I think it's the lead story there. I think it's the lead story there.
Yeah,
Of
so
course,
that'll
if
be
you're
fun.
not a patron, you can get it for free. Monday or Friday now. Sorry, youtube.com/kindafunny. You can enjoy the Kinda Funny podcast on YouTube and MP3 services around the globe. I'm so proud of you. Good job.
Thank you.
It all worked out. I have a million questions I want to know, but we'll
Yeah.
talk about it later. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. What's on the docket today? Gearbox almost made Halo 4.
What?
The Division 2 clan system sounds cool. And could Respawn's be coming to Fortnite? If you like that, be part of the show. Right in to patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Bronze tier members get to ask us questions, give us their bad PSN names, be part of the show. Of course, if you don't want the show with any ads, you can be a silver tier member, but no big deal. If you don't want to, you can watch us record the show live and free on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. If you're watching live, you have a special job. Go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up, so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and then of course listening on podcast services around the globe. Housekeeping for you today. Tim got engaged. Go watch it on youtube.com/kindafunny. Which apparently, I as soon as I got to talk to you that night, I was like, so this is going up on the channel. This is, and you're like, it's Gia's video. Gia gets to decide what happens with it. I don't.
This was a video, and we'll talk more about this on the podcast. I don't want to take this over, but yeah, like this was not made to go online. This was made for her to have the memories and to have it be, her thing.
Sure.
And I gave her the option. I was like, if she pushes it, we're doing it. And she was like, so where's it going? And I was like, that's my girl.
Thank you today to our Patreon producers, Tom Bach, TJ Meehan, Joe Beezer, Trevor Starkey, Mohammed, and Blackjack. If you want to be a Patreon producer for next month, it's almost time. Go over to patreon.com/kindafunnygames. And then today we're brought to you by Quip and Harry's, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 6 items on the Roper Report, Kev.
Oh, baker's dozen.
That's true. That's how it works. Number 1, Gearbox almost made Halo 4. This is from Brian Barnett over at IGN.com. Borderlands developer Gearbox Software was originally considered to create Halo 4. In this month's episode of IGN Unfiltered, Ryan McCaffrey sat down with Bonnie Ross, the head of 343 Industries, and discussed the history and alternate histories of the development of Halo 4, among many other topics. After Halo's original development studio Bungie split with Microsoft, there was a discussion at Xbox about what to do with the Halo franchise. While the ending of Halo 3 was ambiguous enough to serve as a finale for the series, Halo also took place in an incredibly well-realized universe, one which was rich enough to serve as the setting for many more games, should Microsoft find the right studio to make them. Interesting note here, I cut it off, but later on in this article, which is promoting, obviously, IGN Filtered, which is a great podcast McCaffrey does, Bonnie talks about apparently like there was a pretty good chance they were just going to stop with what Halo 3 was. Like, that was one of the things they were going to stop with.
And before you go on there, it's like that would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, like it very much was a trilogy, and 3 there was a definitive end where you're like, okay, the story is wrapped up. And I loved what they did after it with Reach, where it was a prequel and based on like lore elements that we already knew, and like such a great story, kind of like the Rogue One of the Halo universe.
Sure,
where it's like, we know where
you knew
it
about
gets
Reach
there,
from the narrative,
but it's like, how did it all go down? And yeah, this is interesting. Like, I wonder what that could have looked like.
Back to Brian. Harboring a great love for Halo, Ross, who was running all internal and external Xbox game publishing at the time, felt it was blasphemy to end the Halo franchise or hand over control to an external studio. She pitched her take on Halo's future to Shane Kim, then corporate vice president of Microsoft Game Studios, and was given the keys to the franchise to pursue her creative vision for the series. An internal team at Microsoft was soon formed to assume development of Halo under Ross. Named 343 Industries after fan favorite Halo character 343 Guilty Spark, 343 Industries went on to create Halo 4 and 5 and is currently working on Halo Infinite. But at the time, other options were being discussed.
Wow. That's so fascinating, you know, and with 343 Industries kind of, you know, spinning out of Bungie and how that all went down.
Yeah.
Like, personally, Halo 4 and 5 were not nearly as dear to me as the original trilogy or Reach or even ODST. And I feel like a lot of that had to do with it almost started losing its Halo feel from the single player perspective. I know people really love Halo 5's multiplayer. I was never that guy, so like I'm not going to comment on all that. But it does kind of feel like the Halo franchise hit this point of like spinning its wheels story wise and campaign, whereas, you know, back Halo 1 and 2 specifically, like their campaigns were like literally half of the excitement for people, and especially the co-op nature of them, and with the legendary and like the different difficulties, like it really defined what it meant to be a co-op campaign shooter. Right,
that was a big part of it, right?
And you know, I feel like we kind of lost that over time. But
do you wish they had stopped? Do you wish 3 was the end of Chief's story?
You know, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm not a believer that things should stop that way just because it ended perfectly. It's like more Halo games there's just potential for it to be great again. You know what I mean? It reminds me of Death Note a lot, where I love the anime.
Yeah.
They made the Death Note Netflix movie. Was it as good as the anime? Absolutely not. Does it existing ruin the anime? No. You know what I mean? It's like more content on things I love. There's the chance that they will be stand out and great. And I'm very excited for Halo Infinite. I feel like we don't know much about it, but I feel like from what we have seen in the teases they've given, there is a chance that it might be smaller stories that go back to the roots of what I fell in love with Halo for. Then Gearbox.
I was going to say, that's the next question. Can you imagine a Gearbox Halo?
No, because like that's, you know, they're not a Microsoft studio in that way, right?
And
like,
and that's
Halo,
what, you know,
you don't get much more flagship than Halo, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That is such a franchise,
and that's where even for me is like, you know, far from an Xbox existing in the Xbox ecosystem, right? It's this idea here, right? That like I
love you, Nick, so much.
Don't encourage him. I echo Bonnie Ross, who says I felt it was blasphemy to end the Halo franchise or hand it over to an external studio, right? Like, that would be like Sony being like, oh, man, you know what? It's been fun making these Uncharted games, but hey, Ubisoft, why don't you make an Uncharted game?
Well, and especially after Halo 3, like they were still riding high.
Totally.
You know what I mean? It was like Halo 4 took a while after that because there was like so much shakeups, obviously, with all this stuff and with Bungie kind of splitting off. But yeah, wow. Like this is one of those news stories that like, it's just so cool that this can get dug up years later. Yeah. Where it's so fascinating that was an actual conversation that happened, because that would have totally changed where the industry's at if Halo was in the hands of Gearbox, you know, and if 343 Industries wasn't a thing. Yeah. You know, because they're kind of the Halo company.
Right. Yeah. That's all they work
on. That's all they've ever done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very cool stuff.
Hats off to Ryan McCaffrey. I know he tweets every so often about Unfiltered being a passion project, but all those interviews are always fascinating. I'm sure I'm sure none of them get the views or listens they deserve. So if you like podcasts, go subscribe.
It's real journalism at the end of the day. And it's like this is getting headlines that would not exist without IGN doing the work.
Because
Without
people feel
McCaffrey doing
comfortable
the
to
work.
sit there and talk to them, right?
Yep.
And open up because they understand what the show's about. And it's been around long enough that it's established that reputation, that it's not a gotcha thing. It is like, oh, cool, what's happening?
Yep.
And then IGN does a great job of spiraling out the news from them, right?
Yep.
So even if you don't listen, you get to hear something like this. Still, go listen. Number 2, the Division 2 clans are explained, and they sound pretty cool. This is from Zhi-qing. Juan at Twinfinite. I reached out to her on email on how to pronounce her name. However, she's in Singapore, I believe, and I have not gotten a response, but I feel like I did an all right job, but let me know. Anyways, I digress. Back to Big Twinfinite, Jared Petty Money Hat. The Division 2 will be seeing its official release in March, and Ubisoft has just released some new information and details on exactly how the clans feature will work in the game. For starters, up to 50 players or accounts can join a clan, and each player can have up to 4 characters. You'll need at least 4 members to start a clan, and that feature will be made available relatively early on in the game. Clans will also have in-game support for voice chat for up to 25 members at a time. If you're looking to join a clan in the Division 2, you'll also be able to filter your searches via a few options, like activities, the primary focus of the clan, whether it's PvE, PvP, or both, most active times, mic requirements, language, regions, and more.
That's interesting.
I feel like clans are always the one thing people screw up, right? That aren't there or
In
anything
what
like
way?
that. Like, where are they there? Do they have enough features? How's it working? What's the level cap? I feel like it's also one of those things that isn't expressed a lot in these games ahead of time before you jump into it. So for Division to get in front of it is exciting. I will be making a kind of funny one. We will need several.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of Division players on a lot of different platforms. Everybody's got to get out there and make their stuff.
I do really like the filters, and I like them getting ahead of it and putting this
Right.
out there, because like those are real simple things that all clans in games should have, but
Yeah.
don't. So this is great that they're like, hey, we have this. It also, I think, leaves room open for a conversation for what are they missing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that
Exactly.
dialogue
Yeah,
back
and get
and
that
forth.
started too. Yeah, I'm very excited for the Division 2. Obviously, I know, as everybody knows, but I think I'm excited for the Division 2 because, again, where we talk about, man, how did Destiny 2 come out of the gate and make all these mistakes? They didn't learn their lesson from Destiny 1. Man, how did Anthem launch and make all these mistakes they should have learned from Destiny 1 and 2? Division 2 seems like the game, on paper, from how they're selling it, and this is all obviously marketing and advertisement, yada, 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 but on paper that, hey, guess what? We launched the Division 1, we worked on it for years and years and years to make it awesome, and now we're here with Division 2 that, as they keep promoting, is focused on the end game, and once you get there, and making that fun, and having a great clan,
Yeah.
As somebody who wants to just play that game nonstop, I'm very excited to see what happens. Number 3, are respawns coming to Fortnite, Tim? This is Nolan Mackey, also at BigTwinfinite.com, or .net, sorry. Epic Games took to Reddit recently to answer some Fortnite fan questions. During the discussion, it was asked if Epic would ever consider bringing a respawn mechanic to the game. Epic responded with, quote, "We've been considering this mechanic for a while, and we've been exploring it. Want to make sure we give it the time it needs and fully understand its impact on the game as a whole. Look for further updates during Season 8. Of course, the newest competitor in the Battle Royale game, Apex Legends, uses a respawn feature, which is most likely why the question was asked. In Apex Legends, respawning is possible if a teammate takes a fallen team member's banner to a respawn beacon. Once it is completed, the fallen player will respawn into the game with no gear." How's that sit with you, Tim?
I think it's cool, and I think it's going to happen. Will it be a permanent feature? Maybe, maybe not. Again, we're just beating a dead horse here, but I love what Epic's doing with Fortnite. I love how they experiment. They're not afraid to like try different weird things.
I appreciate that that's an honest answer to that question, right? Now, I like that they say look for further updates during Season 8.
Yeah.
Season 8, of course, dropping Thursday, the 28th here this week. It'll be interesting. My prediction for this, they do it as a time mode or as a limited time pop up or whatever. They're going to try it out
See
and
if
do
people
that.
like it, get some feedback, and again, that's the way to do it. It's like it's weird that now Fortnite is where it's at, where the game exists. It is this living, breathing world, and the game can change via patches or these timed modes or seasons and all that stuff, and they don't need to beta test different modes.
Yeah.
They just put them out
Put them
there.
out there and see what you think.
See what people think. And then it's like, then if they're successful, then they can be made into a full feature forever. But if not, they tinker with it without people being upset about it. Oh, it's early access or whatever the hell. It's like, it's cool shit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I think it'll just be a mode. I think the problem is just dropping in it. First off, the base, this is what Fortnite is so successful, but then also the fact that I feel people who join up randomly, like, it's gonna suck if they added this respawn in. I'm on a team of randoms. One of them goes down. I have his banner or whatever you want to call it. I go and he quits before I was like, oh fuck. Like it would work for like Joey and her team and me, Kevin, and Nitro Rifle.
But that's how it works in Apex. Maybe Fortnite doesn't have the banner system.
Yeah, I hear you, but my counter argument there would just be the fact that I think Fortnite's been around and established long enough that you have players in there that are casual enough to play it this way, and that's how they play it, and they're not gonna bother to learn how to do this or stick around for the hopes that some rando is going to bring it back.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like maybe rando doesn't have to bring it back. Maybe like there's something you have to do where like if you go to these 4 points or whatever the hell, then if you die, you get respawn. Like Epic can come up with some
Epic can
creative
definitely
way
come up with their own way.
That's not just a similar version of what Apex does.
Gotcha.
Speaking of Apex real quick, that game is so successful and it has made it out of the video game like fan base into my friends' fan base.
Oh, really?
And they're addicted. All of my friends are
that's
fucking
awesome.
playing. And they haven't played online games like this ever.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so
It's happening. It's happened, Titanfall fans. Number 4. HoloLens 2 is here. This is a weird one. Not really game related, but I wanted to read it because we all remember when HoloLens popped at E3 and they were using it for Minecraft and shit like that. Now, number 2 is here. It debuted at the MWC Barcelona. And here's what the official rundown from Microsoft is.
Did HoloLens 1 happen?
Yeah, Gus had one, right? HoloLens 2 is the premier mixed reality device and is now more immersive, more comfortable, and delivers more value right out of the box. With HoloLens 2, you'll be able to interact with holograms in a more natural way and wear the device for hours on end because the comfortability has been greatly improved. From construction sites to factory floors, from operating rooms to classrooms, HoloLens is changing the way we work, learn, communicate, and get things done. It is already being used in a variety of challenging environments, including the International Space Station. HoloLens 2 will be made available this year at a price of $3,500. Bundles, including Dynamics 365 Remote Assist, start at $125 a month. HoloLens 2 will be initially available in the United States, Japan, China, Germany, Canada, United Kingdom, Ireland, France, Australia, and New Zealand. You can pre-order HoloLens 2 starting today. In addition to HoloLens 2, Microsoft also announced Dynamic 365 Guides. Dynamic 365 Guides enhances learning with step-by-step instructions that guide employees to the tools and parts they need and how to use them in real work situations. And then also the Azure Mixed Reality Services. Microsoft also announced 2 Azure Mixed Reality Services. These services are designed to help every developer and every business build cross-platform, contextual, and enterprise-grade mixed reality applications. Again, not a gaming application. In fact, it seems like they're not at all talking about any of that with the release announcement of this. But interesting that it's still going, because I'm with you of like, oh yeah, HoloLens was a thing.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, all this is saying to me is that the tech is finally there for this to be useful to real world applications for different industries that aren't just entertainment. We've talked about this for years now on our various shows about VR and what it means for games, but what it means beyond games, right? And we've seen what it means for entertainment with all the immersive VR pop-ups happening everywhere and all of that, in addition to video games kind of finally finding their footing in what a VR game is versus what a VR experience on a game console is.
Yeah.
But with all of this, like this seems like there's a practical use. The $3,500 price tag is pretty clear that this is not a consumer product.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. Like it reminds me a bit of like early Kinect versus where we're at now with Google Home and Alexa and Siri and all that. Sure. It's like, sure, we have this thing that like the hardcore tech people can use and get mad at and scream at because it doesn't work. But then it's like we're at a point where voice technology is almost simple enough to use that anybody can understand it. Yeah. And it's learning in a way that like is adapting to different needs that aren't just Alexa play this song, but are, helping older people with their day of reminders of things.
Yeah.
But like even like reading when they're having trouble seeing, you know what I mean? Like things like that. So this could be cool.
It's cool. It's just nice to see that it wasn't a flash in the pan and it's dead. That Microsoft is committed to it. They're taking it in a way more like, business mindset than a gamer consumer mindset, right? Of what it's going to be. And the headset, I urge you to go look online and take some shots. It looks way different. It looks way more comfortable. It looks more like a real thing or whatever. People like fucking working on computers and people talking to them at the same time. I'm like, all right, whatever. Good luck to you. I'd blow everything up. Number 5. Monster Rancher is open to Twitter.
Let's go, baby.
This is from Sal Romano over at Gematsu, who has a daily double, and we'll be back in 1 second. Koei Tecmo has opened an official Twitter account for the Monster Rancher series on the 20th anniversary of 1999 released PlayStation title Monster Rancher 2. Monster Rancher, known as Monster Farm in Japan, is a monster-raising simulation game series that has spawned 17 games and a television anime since it debuted in 1997. The latest release was a smartphone game called My Monster Rancher in 2011. While it is unknown whether the launch of the Twitter account means something new is planned for the series, one of the tweets teases to, quote, "Please give us your support in the future." End
Hell
quote.
yeah, dude.
You never slack me stories to put on this thing.
Yeah.
You did today with this.
I did,
What's
man.
going on?
Monster motherfucking Rancher, dude. Like think about it, all right? Pokemon's popping off, Digimon's popping off,
Yeah.
monsters left and right. If there was a video game and an anime and a card game and all this stuff, I was in. And I was so into the idea of Monster Rancher.
Okay,
but
just the
didn't
idea.
have a PlayStation.
Oh, right.
That was my issue.
Okay.
But the idea of Monster Rancher, do you remember this?
Was this the one where you put your CDs in?
It's Toys to Life.
Okay.
For fucking cool ass 90s kids.
Okay,
all
lay
right?
it on me.
You take your CDs, you put them in, and it makes a monster. Every CD is a different monster. And
Genius.
certain monsters could only be obtained
certain CDs?
by off certain random CDs.
Appetite for Destruction.
Like it was things like that where
Yeah.
it's like it'd be very randomly themed things, and then there's a lot of generic ones that you can just get from anything. And like I just remember being like, "This is the coolest
This
idea.
is the future.
Like this is the future. Like,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is so damn dope." I was like, I have so many AOL dial-up or
Oh,
not
it didn't need to be
those
music CDs.
Oh, it's just
I thought it was
CDs.
audio CDs.
Yeah,
Any
but,
CD.
But then like I was a dumbass kid, and then eventually when I did play the game, didn't love it. But the idea of it was very cool.
Yeah.
And I loved the anime so much. Fox Kids, baby, never forget Saturday mornings. But it was just so great. I think it was on right before.
So are you?
Cardcaptor
If this is
Sakura.
real, are you going to play it? Are you in?
No, I'm interested in what they would do for
Current-
now.
yeah,
like I don't,
MP3s?
Yeah, like that. I don't know how they could make that interesting.
Yeah.
you know, because it definitely was the novelty. Like it. That was during the rush of like, how do we make our monster game different, our monster collecting game different, right?
Yeah,
And their answer was CDs.
Hey, it worked. You remember it fondly. You didn't
Yeah.
own it. Number 6, and this is the final one for today. Ace Combat 7 is killing it. This is also from Sal Romano at Gematsu, who reports Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown sold 500,000 units in its first month of release in Asia, Bandai Namco Southeast Asia announced. While sales numbers for the other regions have not been announced, the latest Media Create sales number placed the physical PS4 version at, I'm going to just round up here for you guys, all right? 232,000 units sold in Japan. The game also had the biggest United Kingdom launch in series history. Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown is now available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Kevin, you took a code for this. Did you ever play it?
No, I haven't had.
You're a son of a bitch.
There's been too many great games that like are
fair.
already fully set up for me to play.
It's fair. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah, this is the one obviously with PlayStation VR functionality. I played it
Yeah.
at an event and I was like, holy shit. Like I did at Judges Week 2 years ago. And even then in a rough state, I was like, damn, this actually feels really, really good.
This is one of those games that I feel was announced so long ago.
That is also correct,
and
yes.
then just like was never talked about again. And here
And
it
that's one
is.
of those things where I feel like for us in classical games criticism, that is a bad sign, right? This game gets announced and then kind of just goes quiet, or it's just whatever. And then because I played it at Judges Week, I think 2 years ago. Then this last Judges Week, didn't play it, didn't even see anything from it. And so yeah, to have it back now and actually doing well, it is a game that quietly released too. I feel it released, and granted, none of us are those people, and I think it
Yeah.
came out during a very busy time. Cool that it's doing well.
Yeah,
good to see
that's
this
great.
franchise,
How
returning
is
to
it
form.
reviewing? Let's see.
Yeah, you're gonna look up how it's reviewing. I have a feeling right now. You're going to Metacritic. Is that what you're doing?
I'm just, yeah.
You're just gonna Google Ace Combat reviews.
You know what? I probably should have put review.
Because you put
in there.
Ace Combat review in there. Yeah. That's what's gonna happen.
IGN giving it a 7. It has an 80% on Metacritic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I think if you're an Ace Combat fan, that's good.
You know
enough,
what you
right?
get.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You want to get in. You want to fly them planes.
I hear it's the Kingdom Hearts 3 of Ace Combat.
Hey.
You know what I mean?
Tim, I'm excited to see how many units Ace Combat will sell in its lifetime, but I'm gonna have to wait a long time to find that out.
Yeah.
If I wanted something more immediate, like say what came to the mom and grop shops today, where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform is listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Shows each and every weekday.
Yeah. And you're wrong, Lord of Pone points out. Ace Combat 7 was announced at PSX 2015.
Announced,
So yeah,
I remember that.
That
That
was,
was the same PSX that they showed the Final Fantasy 7
Your Dreams.
remake.
Out today, Typing Fast on PC and Linux.
Ooh, it stresses me out.
Little Mouse's Encyclopedia on PC and Mac.
More my speed.
Super Orb Collector on PC.
No, thank you.
Swarm Simulator Evolution on PC and Mac. And then Rhythm Overdrive on PC.
Okay, and
You're in?
strong.
Yeah, okay, good. New dates for you. Truberbrook is coming to Steam March 12th, consoles on April 17th. Claybook is coming to Nintendo Switch on March 12th. Dead Cells, if people who are going to PAX East will get the first chance to play the forthcoming DLC. Resident Evil 0, 1, and 4 are coming to Nintendo Switch eShop on May 21st.
Awesome.
You excited about that?
Yeah, it's been a while since I played through 4, and I kind of want to give it another go after two,
yeah.
You know, and even 1 with the analog support.
Yeah. Fortnite Season 8 is expected to go live on Thursday, February 28th. And then Firewall 0 Hour DLC number 4 comes out tomorrow. It's time for Reader Mail. But first, I'm going to tell you about our sponsors. Oh, BillyThedoor writes into patreon.com/kindafunnygames and says, I've been thinking about releases. Do day one reviews matter as much as they have in the past? I just think about the biggest game in the world, Fortnite, and the former biggest game in the world, Minecraft, and can't help but notice both had non-traditional releases whose fan base is built over time. Now with EA releasing Apex very suddenly and to great success, do you think building a fan base over time is going to be more popular of a strategy than trying to get as many people in on release day?
I think, and this might be a bold thing to say, but I think that video game review scores matter less now than they ever have by a significant margin. I don't think that there is the same type of fervor and market that there used to be with video game magazines back like a decade and a half ago.
Sure, EGM, Game Pro, dropped on you.
Because that's all that people had.
Right, of course, yeah.
And then when
that was the word of God.
That was it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, it's either good or bad, and like they're the ones telling us and whatever. Then we moved to the internet age with IGN and all that stuff, and it's like I do feel like there was a time where IGN and GameSpot's reviews like really influenced purchasing on a wide scale.
Yeah.
And I feel like now so many people are gamers and identify as gamers in a way that they didn't before.
Yeah.
That I think that a lot more people are finding different ways to get knowledge of games, and a lot of it is just word of mouth because more people are playing and more people have friends that play or whatever. And it is games like Apex Legends that you don't need to look at a review for. It's someone told you should check this out, and they're playing it. I'm not saying people don't look at reviews. Obviously they do. IGN's more popular than it's ever been now, and sites like that. But I do feel like they kind of have a different place now. I feel like the reviews are almost entertainment.
Okay.
You know, like I feel like people like watch video reviews because they just want more content from the game, less so for the final word.
Yeah. Is there a definitive word anywhere, let alone on games that continue to evolve and change, right? Even when we were at IGN, and me being at IGN before you, there was this thing of, well, how do you review a game an update? How do we, when they change a game drastically, and we've already given it a 7, but now it's a 9, like, what do we do about that? Like, is that worth going back? Is it man hours range? And what we would find, of course, is no, it wasn't. Like, you know, at the time, reviews were king when I was at IGN writing, right? And when you try to recapture that with, all right, it's not even a review in progress, which is where so many people go now, which I think's how it should be done. It's a discussion. You're, doing it. It's a written out podcast, right? Of like the writer or the reviewer talking about, all right, well, I did all this today and this is how I feel about it, but I'm not there yet, and I'll decide about it later. Like, subscribe, share.
Yeah.
You weren't finding when we re-reviewed games the same jump in traffic that you would have seen in the beginning, right? Because it was when IGN mattered the most in my day and age when the access was exclusive. When all right, cool. The embargo is lifting for this game review a week before it's out, 3 days before it's out. This actually matters. When IGN or any reviewer site, it's kind of funny, has to chase. Apex Legends drops for everybody this day. Anthem is dropping, and we can't give you early access because the game is meant to be played online with these servers, so blah, blah. That's when the return on investment for those reviews is so much lower. And it's like you said, and actually, it'll come up in a question in a little bit, but Jason Schreier said something over this weekend, right, where somebody accused, or not even accused, phrased talking about him reporting on layoffs as clickbait. And he was like, listen, if he had a very well thought out response, but he also had a line in there of like, listen, if I was trying to clickbait people, I'd be writing Anthem guides. Like that is the thing, right? Like where the traffic's at now is continuing the conversation and giving people the top 5 Anthem tips, the top 10 things you need to know about the new Fortnite update. Hey, we have these experts on staff that are assembling this guide that are SEO driven of what is the question you're going to type in and ask, right?
To be clear, that's not clickbait.
Oh no,
'Cause
not
I
at
feel
all.
like that's a common thing when people call chasing clicks clickbait. Those are different things, right?
I was paraphrasing what he said, yes, but no, you're 100% correct. Guess what? That serves a great purpose. When I type in Assassin's Creed Odyssey in the trophy name and I get exactly what I want, yeah, you've built your site and what the article or video is correctly in the way it should be done. Yes, very true. So do day one reviews matter as much as they have in the past? No, they don't. I don't think there's anyone you can argue that does. And it's also the continuing evolution of games criticism and the medium and enthusiast press, whatever you want to call it, in the way of, oh, cool, this game is dropping, right? For me personally, right, and this is not taking shots at anybody, right? If they dropped, I want to know who the experts are in the field and what they think of it, right? I think that Destin's opinion of Anthem and Destiny far outweighs my opinion of Destiny. Or of Destiny. No, actually, I am capable of reviewing Destiny. Gary, my review of Destiny matters more. But in terms of Destiny and Anthem, his review and what his things matter more as, hey, I'm embedded in that community. I am one of these, looter shooters. I love that. I want to know all that, right? Whereas my review comes with so many caveats when I talk about it. I'm like, I love this, I hate this, but I'm not the guys that they're trying to get right now.
Absolutely. I do think that there is a lot of interesting discussion points about reviews, and especially about things like Metacritic that are kind of looking at things as a whole. But I hate looking at Metacritic and just looking at their one number.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like in the same way that you have to read the words that are associated with a number on a single review, when you look at Metacritic, you need to look at the reviews and where they're coming from,
of course,
to kind of see like what got to that number. Are there like crazy outliers and all that? And I feel like it's most interesting, and reviews matter the most when and this is also for movies. It's not just games.
Oh yeah, this is criticizing / reviewing any piece of art.
Yes,
where everyone comes at it with their own baggage, their own expectations, their own likes and dislikes.
And I feel like with movies and I think the number's a little bit different, but with movies and games, it's like it only really matters if everyone, quote unquote, everyone, is praising the hell out of it or hating the hell out of it. If it's just kind of like getting reviews here and there, it almost doesn't matter. It's like, okay, people have opinions, right? But it's like, I have watched movies because they're getting 10s from everyone.
Oh yeah,
right?
Oh yeah, totally.
And it's like there's something special, and it's the same true of games where it's like, oh shit, like Celeste, right? Celeste's coming out. It's getting 10, 10, 10, 10. I'm like, oh my God, there's something special.
You would have
here.
played Celeste regardless.
No.
Really?
That
looks like such a Tim game.
I know, but like it's at the end of the day, just looking at it, you're like, oh, it's just another retro 2D platformer. There's like, those are a dime a dozen. But Celeste was special, and because of the reviews, it got my attention, right?
Gotcha.
So I do think that there are exceptions that they do matter, but it's only on the extremes, right?
Sure.
And I feel like Fallout 76 is an example the other way.
Oh, sure.
Where everyone was like, oh, like this is bad, and that was unanimous. It wasn't like, I don't want to use a specific example because I don't remember them, but like, I remember IGN reviewed some game on PC and gave it a really low score because they had bad issues with the PC thing, which made sense because you can't review a game that doesn't fucking work.
Yeah.
But then other sites, it was fine because of the graphics cards they had or whatever the hell. But it's like, that didn't destroy that game. Whereas with Fallout 76, it's like, everyone was like, this is bad.
Yeah.
You know? And like, that's very telling. I think Crackdown is a similar thing, but no one expected Crackdown to be a 10, you know?
And that's the other thing too, is, and I know we're not there in any stretch of the imagination, but I'd like to think that as we've all, and I'm talking about gaming as a whole, as our generation has grown up with it and understands it and that a Crackdown can come out and be mediocre. An Anthem can come out and not be a 10. And people can understand like, oh, cool, I'm getting into this game and getting that out of it, and that's okay. You know what I mean? There is still this thing of, we talk about tribalism all the time with like PlayStation versus Xbox, consoles versus PC, all this jazz. Like when it gets down to that point of where it's just like, oh, cool, I'm having fun. I tweeted, I'm having fun with Anthem this week, right? And the amount of people who this weekend, the amount of people who responded to that tweet of like, me too. Oh my God, blah, blah, I'm so glad I can say something. And the amount of also people were like, dude, it's got a horrible story and it's low time. And it's like, okay, but I'm enjoying it. Like that's okay as well. It's okay to be like, I like this. Even
it definitely is okay. There's definitely an interesting conversation here of, like, of course people can like what they like, and Michael Huber's favorite thing of swimming in sevens. Like he's like, yo man, sevens can be great. You just got to enjoy it. You can find the fun in them, and I love that. But I do think that there is valid criticism of a game like Anthem coming from you. There's a pedigree that's associated where sevens aren't okay. You know what I mean?
Sure,
and I feel like there's a lens that people can still have fun with it. Like it's definitely okay there. But like from a critical point of view, it's like there are expectations set that if they are not hit, there's real issues with that, and like it needs to be addressed in certain ways, where it's like a game from a AAA studio with as much money as EA putting as much money into this, and expecting
the mark,
people to invest as many hours and as much money into it with their long-term plan. It's like there needs to be some standards set there.
Oh,
right?
100%. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
This is where criticism and reviews and podcasts and all that stuff come into play. It's just that we fall into a camp sometimes, I feel, where, all right, cool, they've missed this mark, a 7's not okay for them, so then we're not allowed to like it at all. And that's where there's this mishmash of like what it is and how it all works together.
Yeah.
I think we have some Anthem questions. Would you like to hear them? Matt Council writes into patreon.com/kindafunnygames and says, "What's good, Greg and Tim? Greg, I hope you're enjoying your time with Anthem. I personally am having a great time with it thus far. The launch has suffered from a large amount of negative opinion, often I find from people who have no personal experience with the game, but are just parroting an opinion they heard elsewhere. I know the game is not for everyone, and I know there have been very real technical issues for some. I very much respect the negative opinion of someone who has played the game and did not like it, but this seems to me to be the latest example of the internet mob echo chamber exploding with overwhelming negativity. I don't think this is healthy for the games. I don't think this is healthy for the games or the community, but I would love to hear your thoughts. Much love, Matt Council."
I mean, we just had a great conversation about criticisms and critiques of video games and movies and all that stuff. I feel like this question here is a perfect example of people being critical of people's opinions. And it turns into this mess of like every which way there's assumptions being made, and it just turns into this mess of a conversation. Yeah. I'm not saying that Matt's the problem.
I'm pretty sure you said you hate Matt Council.
Oh man, I don't know about that. But what I'm trying to get at is, there's this echo chamber of the people that have played, haven't played, and it's like, then we need to start mincing words of like, who's allowed to have an opinion on what? Everyone's allowed to have an opinion based on their perspective of what they know.
Yeah.
What that means to you, that's up to you, right? Yeah. But with Twitter, with forums, with like all these outlets for people to spread their opinions very loudly, it seems, I feel like that's how it kind of spreads. And the next thing you know, the talk on Anthem has been extremely negative over the last week, right? Yeah. But that they're going to power through, and the people that are enjoying it are going to just keep enjoying it.
Sure.
Right? And like the people that just have an opinion that they're parroting, they're going to stop.
Yeah,
like,
once it's not the best thing anymore, right?
Like the same shit like when Division launched or when Destiny launched or whatever. It's like they don't complain about it anymore. Then eventually the people complaining are the people playing, and that's when you see the real like critical feedback. Like listening to Fran talk about Destiny 2 3 months ago.
Yeah.
That is like the people that really give a shit about, about how the game's going, right? But like
even listening to Fran on the Gamescast, available now, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, MP3 servers around the globe. Even listening to him on this Gamescast do his Anthem review, I thought like I don't feel like I'm not gonna. So many games I play and talk about these days, I'm not the expert in, right? Like I'm gonna jump in and try this, right? Like I feel like Resident Evil, I don't have a history in. I can review that game and give you the what it does well, what it doesn't, blah blah blah. Fran's review on the Gamescast as a podcast, right, was the closest I've seen in our kind of funny time to a written review I would have read on IGN. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
When I podcast and review something on Gamescast, I don't feel like I'm as succinct or on point as I was when I used to write.
Yeah.
Fran, who did a great job of giving all this great stuff, then his critical feedback, and then leaving it in a place where you at the table were like, this game's not for me. And I was like, dude, everything you just said sold me more on the game and what you're talking about. And Fran's like, well, no. And I'm like, I get it. Thank you. Like, Fran is the hardcore. He wants to grind.
Critical.
You know what I mean? Like he wants to grind in these loot games. He wants to do all this stuff. And the way he was pitching it to me, I was like, damn, I don't mind load times. That's fine. Whatever. You know what I mean? No. And it was weird to see it be so on point, and things he said in there that I didn't understand at the time when he was like, people keep calling this a shooter. It is not a shooter. And I was like, I see people fucking using guns every time. And then playing it through the weekend, when that clicked in my head of like, oh right, like I only use my gun for ads, right? When the like mobs are coming at me or something else. Otherwise, it is like do this, do that, shoot in, shoot out. And it's like, fuck, Fran did a really great job.
That's great, man. I'm so happy we have it on Gamescast. He's fantastic.
He is fantastic. Boston Beer Dude gets the final word on Anthem for today. He writes in to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames and says, Eurogamer is reporting that the UK Anthem, that in the UK, Anthem sold half of what Mass Effect Andromeda did at retail during its first week. Do you think that digital sales are what is hurting retail, or do you think all the problems at launch, like the weird release rollout and perceived lack of content, dissuading people from buying the game? Yeah, this didn't make it to the Roper report. I usually don't do the UK numbers unless it's like Crash Bandicoot's been on here for 14 fucking weeks or whatever the hell it is, or it's something else like that. This was a weird one, of it. So if this is a weird lead into it, over in the UK for the week. Anthem box sales, it was the #1 game in the UK. However, the sales of that box game, buying it a physical copy, were half of what Andromeda sold in its first week in the UK. The issue there, of course, is that so I saw this on Eurogamer, I saw this on GamesIndustry.biz, both same caveats, right? Well, this is an online-only shooter. It would go to reckon that you probably are downloading this since you have to be connected to the internet. And you have to, like, why would this ring true? Mm-hmm. So I brought it up because Boston wrote in about how other people are talking about it. But for me, it was very much like, I don't know how Anthem's selling. I don't know anything. You know what I mean? There's a lot of buzz about it, but usually swaying to the negative of like, how the fuck could EA fuck this up? Bioware, yada, 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 yada. I don't know what it did. This is an interesting thing. The fact that it is #1, it is #1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume it's because a lot of people downloaded it, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I buy that for sure. And we're just looking at these charts like a couple weeks ago when you were gone. It was just like financial report after financial report of all the different companies, and like their year-over-year stats of digital versus retail were ridiculous. Yeah, where it's just like the pie chart is getting like more and more overtaken.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Digital sales are growing every year, so who knows what it is? We'll have to wait, get NPD numbers, see what that's all about.
That's a really good point. That like it's an online-only game, so.
If I'm already knowing I can only play this online, would I be downloading it? No. I know a lot of people love their physical media, but in these situations, are you? I don't know. What? How long's Andy going to be gone in LA? You know what I mean?
He's coming back today.
I guess.
He's not making the podcast.
I get it. There's Overwatch. Just come back, though. You know what I mean?
Like, he's just there forever, man.
Is he working there now? The nanobiologist writes in to patreon.com/kindafunnygames and says, "What's up, Greg and Tim? I hope you both had a good, relaxing weekend. Jason Schreier over the weekend tweeted to fans and other people arguing if journalists should be the ones to break news of upcoming layoffs. He seems to be of the mindset that the news needs to be out there so that people are aware. But I'm 50-50 on this one. I do agree with Jason that it is in the best interest of the employees, but I also think that companies do plan for layoffs months in advance with planned contingencies of severances and how to break it to the people if the layoffs need to occur. But if the people find out about these things from an outside source before the time is right, parentheses, even though there is never a right time to lay someone off, then wouldn't it stress people out more and cause more damage to the employees by the company, to the company itself, and the employees' relationships with each other? It is okay for a journalist to report on a rumor of mass layoffs, even when several sources... Oh, is it okay for a journalist to report on a rumor of massive layoffs, even with several sources confirming that it will happen? It almost seems to me like if someone found out about a death in the family member through a news item or from a Facebook post before being told directly by the immediate people affected. So yeah. Long story short here, no offense, nanobiologist. Jason was responding on Twitter to claims that had been put on Twitter as well, that it was unethical, that he shouldn't have been reporting about layoffs that hadn't been announced yet. Because obviously, Jason, I think it was ArenaNet, kindafunny.com/you're wrong. It was ArenaNet that he was out ahead of, where a lot of people at ArenaNet heard about this is the Guild Wars 2 team, heard about the layoffs through the article rather than the company.
Yeah.
Where do you come down?
I read all this stuff and I was reading a whole bunch of literature around surrounding this. I'm also kind of 50-50 on it. Yeah. You know, I feel like when it comes to that type of is it ethical and and whether or not it, even if it is or not, should it be posted? Those are all different things when it comes to this. At the end of the day, they're video games. Yeah. This is a weird side of it, and this is journalism. So it's like what Jason is doing is like trying to actually like make this a real thing and not just treat video games like toys, because there's a real industry with millions of people affected, right? Yeah. But there's a lot of valid points pro and con for and against it, right? But I feel like there isn't a right answer. I think that's the end of it, because what nanobiologists here is talking about of like if people find out they're getting laid off or potentially laid off from media, that might force the employers to like go into panic mode and change up their plans for severances. But that could be good or bad, right? It's like I don't think that there's a hard and fast rule for this type of stuff. You did journalism in a real way, so you have a much better perspective than me. But I do feel like Jason and Kotaku, but specifically Jason, has a style, and he has stories he's going to cover, and I feel like people know that and go to him and follow him for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And like with how pro-union he is and how like all that stuff, like there's a narrative being put out there, right? And I feel like that's important, and he's doing the right thing for what he's trying to do. And I don't think that that's clickbait. I don't think that it's like trying to get clicks off of these stories. I think that it's trying to get the news stories out there to affect real change in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So if you're a new listener or a viewer, like I went to the University of Missouri. I have a degree in journalism, worked as a newspaper reporter for a year and a half before hanging it all up to come out here and talk about video games in San Francisco. And so it's been a long, long time. I do not consider myself a video games journalist or anything of that matter. I'm a pundit, a critic, or whatever. To put the journalism hat back on, though, I saw this happening in the Jason putting up his thread and talking about it. I don't think it's 50-50 at all. I think Jason's doing the exact right thing. This is how it works. If a reporter can get this information, if he can verify, or if they can verify the information, it's their duty to report it. And so that's the thing, is like being a journalist can be super fun and fulfilling and rewarding and cool, and people can love you, and then the next week they can hate you. Next day they can hate you for doing this and breaking bad news and doing this thing. But he is reporting on business. He is reporting on companies. He is reporting on and I understand that is rough, and that would be a fucking gut punch to find out that if we were still at IGN and to read an article that we were all getting laid off or something and not have anybody talk to you yet. I get all that, and I understand that that's a personal feeling, but in his role as a journalist, that's his role.
I guess the thing that I'm 50-50 on is what is his role? Is his role to be a video game journalist, or like what does that mean?
His role is to be a journalist, period. Okay. Like he's not, I throw that in there because that's his beat. That is what he does. That is his career. Jason is a journalist, period. Yeah. And I think he's held to those same ethics and those same, policies of what to do, right? I pulled up just not even for argument's sake, but like because I'm very rusty. But the American Press Association principles of journalism, right? And like number 1, journalism's first obligation is to the truth. Number 2, its first loyalty is to the citizens. Number 3, its essence is the discipline of verification. And it goes on like this, where I think all these boxes are being checked by him, right? It must serve as an independent monitor of power, like that. And that's the thing, is I think if you wanted to, and this is taking broad journalism applying to games, right? Its first loyalty is to the citizens. Arguably, here you have at least some citizens who are saying, I wouldn't ever want to get this is a greater good thing of like, monitoring the power, being the voice of the people, the citizens, keeping checks and balances. Like, I feel like he's 100% within. He nailed it, I think, personally. Yeah. And that does come with people loving you or hating you, and that's it sucks, but it takes a tough person to do that, and a tough mind to be a real journalist in quotes. Yeah, and so sure. It's a lonely road sometimes, but I think he did everything right, and he continues to in terms of this and reporting on layoffs and stuff. Because I don't think you can't wait, and I think and maybe I'm missing a narrative thread here that I don't remember. Nanobiologist talks about in here, you're like. I also think companies plan to do layoffs months in advance, right? And contingencies and severances. And what if this screws that up? That's not what happened here. Jason talked about ArenaNet, and then happened that day. It wasn't that he's hearing like 3 months from now there might be layoffs. Which again, if he had and he could verify it and had, also totally fine to reveal. But that's my opinion. Yeah, and I'm by no means the judge, jury, and executioner.
I'm trying to figure out a way to actually say what I mean here, but like. It's not that questioning whether or not what he's doing is journalism. It's whether or not that journalism belongs on a video game site. And I feel like for him, he has created that lane where I would argue that it does 100% because that's what he does and that's what he's known for. Sure. But like if someone at IGN were to report that, I think that'd be weird. Just someone random that's a journalist, right? Like even, I don't know, I can't really think of anybody that I consider a journalist at IGN. I don't mean that derogatorily, but like, do you see what I'm saying? Like,
I would use us as a better example. It would be super weird if out of the blue tomorrow I put up a video at 12:01 p.m. that was like, hey, everybody just heard layoffs are going to happen in ArenaNet, yada, and I'd be like, you guys, you're the fucking cookie guy, and then you shout about video games every day. Like that isn't what we do. Yeah. But it also could, but then it is the conversation of, what if that's what you want to do? What if that's what you want this to become? Then you do have to start doing that and have a commitment to it.
And that's what I'm saying. Is I feel like Jason does that. Whereas like if IGN, like if Goldfarb who runs news or ran news,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
had reported on that type of stuff, and like it was a sourced thing from IGN, I would think that's weird.
Yeah.
You know, but
It's happened before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not completely out of the ordinary, not without context. But I mean, I feel like that was, a different IGN at the time of how they were running and what they were doing and chasing.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if this had, I don't know if this had come to them. I don't know. I mean, the example I always go back to, right, that I've talked about on probably Games Daily, but maybe Gamescast, is when we were doing Up at Noon. And it was when the PlayStation 4 was still called the Orbis, and it was completely a rumor and nobody knew anything about it. And I had a developer on the show. And we were mid-conversation, having a great show, and I think, and I was like, well, we all know the PlayStation 4 is real. It's called Orbis. You know, what do you know about it, or your game coming to it? And he was like, well, and he actually answered the question. And I was like, cool. And the show moved on, and the show ended, and we got the audience out. And I turned to Nick, and I was like, do you know what the fuck just happened? And he's like, no, what? And I'm like, he just confirmed that the PlayStation 4 is real. It really is. And we had to have a whole meeting. I immediately called a meeting with at the heads at the time of like, this just happened. What do you want to do about it? And I was of the mind that like, I don't think we should do anything with it. And we had the news crew at the time that was completely of a different mind of like, are you fucking kidding me? We should totally do something with this. But it was, do we want to bury this person who came in here to horse around with me and Altano and get one great story that would be great for a little bit of this, but really fuck this guy over for a thing we know is real? And it wasn't like, oh man, I've used the PlayStation 4 and it's this, that. It was like what engine the games that could currently run. You know what I mean? It was like a boring techie headline that would have been exciting of PlayStation 4 confirmed bot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like we went back and forth for a while and we're just like, well, no, we're not going to do that. By the way, at the time, PR didn't catch it. Like an hour afterwards, PR hit me up and was like, please don't do that. It'll fuck up everything. And not Sony PR, PR for the person.
Yeah. See, it's so interesting. I'm on your side with that, where it's like there's the entertainment side and all that, and it is different than the journalist side. But it's like going through those rules of just like service to a people. It's like you absolutely should have ran that.
Sure,
right?
but that point I already crossed over. I did not consider myself a journalist, and at the same time, I don't think IGN was driving to be the hard-hitting journalism outlet, right?
Yeah.
This was like, do we want to burn this guy's career just for this fucking click?
Absolutely. And I guess that's the difference. Are they driving to be this hard-hitting thing?
Yeah.
Jason is.
For sure is.
IGN's not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. At least from what we know.
Exactly.
We're not trying to offend IGN.
Our
We only
IGN.
keep bringing you... Yes, our IGN. We only
IGN.
keep bringing you up there because you're the only one stupid enough to work with us. You clowns. Should have never hired us. It's time to squad up. This is where one of you writes into patreon.com/kindafunnygames. You give me your name, username, platform of choice, and why you need help in a video game. I read it here. The best friends come and find you, and everybody plays together. Today, Paul needs help on PlayStation 4. Paul's PSN name is Pure Seduction 50.
Pure Seduction would be me and Nick's tag team name.
Pure Seduction 50 writes, hi! I've been really digging into OWL this year. Ghost Spark. That's Overwatch League. And it has got me all hyped up on Overwatch. I had been playing on my PC for a while, but recently made the switch to PlayStation 4. It's just easier this way. You're right. And I am looking for a new squad to play with. I haven't quite reached level 25 on PS4 yet, so I can't jump into competitive. But once I level up, I will be looking to hop in and see where I rank out. I'm traditionally a Mercy/Reaper main, but with the new meta, I have recently been playing a lot of Zarya and Zen. I am a college student. What?
Zarya.
Shut up. It says Zarya. That's Zarya, all right? Make it up yourself. Zarya. Okay. I am a college student with a job, so my playtime is limited, but I am usually on from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Wednesday Eastern Time. If you want to play Overwatch with Pure Seduction 50, hit him up on that PlayStation 4. Time for You're Wrong. This is where people watching live go to kindafunny.com/You're Wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up, so we can set the record straight. For everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and listening on podcast services around the globe. Krajui wrote in and said, Fortnite has had game modes, most recently Team Rumble, that have respawn. Just not the way it exists in Anthem, or Apex, my apologies. Good to know. That's a question. That is also not something that we got wrong. And that's a question as well.
Nailed it.
Maddox
Wow.
Jr., I like your question, though. Write it into patreon.com/kindafunnygames as a question. That's it. That's a good show. We crushed it. Good job,
we did.
Kev. Pat yourself on the back over there. Hey, he's doing it. He's doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, watch it live, twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. Watch it later, youtube.com or roosterteeth.com. And listen on podcast services around the globe. Your hosting schedule for this week is tentative. Right now, it's Tuesday with Tim. Well, I'm here all week. Tuesday with Tim, Wednesday with Tim, Thursday with Andrea, Friday with Tim. I love Tim as much as the next guy, but I want him to be able to do the work he needs to do. So I'm looking at seeing if I can get a couple, or one person in here. Just take one of them off your back, you know? Does that sound good or no?
Yeah, maybe what about Fran?
I mean, I already have an email out to somebody who has never hosted Kinda Funny Games Daily with me, but has hosted before, but I'd like to host it.
Bring back Fran.
Shut up! Fran's dead!
No!
Also, just to be clear, that's future-proofing. Rest in peace, Fran. We'll miss you. No, it's cool. When Fran dies, clip that out, and it'll just be like, man.
You're a psychic.
No, it isn't. Bye!